All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Roundhouse. Tonight we will be covering NCAA conferences, regionals, and nationals moving forward. We're joined by three very special panelists. First, let's throw it over to Garrett. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty solid. Had a mind-numbing 8 hours of filing, where it was literally just looking at the file, renaming the file, and moving it over to another folder. I am thrilled and happy to be here. Yeah, that's all I got.
Office jobs, ladies and gentlemen. They're as good as it gets. So joining us tonight covering college for the first time, we've got Sean Collins. Sean, are you nervous at all?
I know the high school stuff a little bit better, but I hope that my first hand getting to watch some of these guys give me a little bit of an edge on these two.
No pressure. This is all about fun. And finally, a man who needs no introduction, except for the fact that he's going to D2 Nationals. Caleb, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I just want to point out I've never lost, so this is not just for fun. This is absolutely a competition. And if Garrett thinks his day was mind-numbing, I stuffed over 800 envelopes to be mailed today. That's mind-numbing.
Well, that makes me feel better, as I've just escaped the bondage of Ithaca, New York, until I start working 60 hours a week in June. Unfortunately, tonight we will not be joined by Jarrett Felix. He was in Washington, D.C. over the weekend, where he learned a lot about this country and its laws, including the fact that there's no law that requires him to only wear Oregon jerseys. So he's out clothes shopping to get a little bit more variety. All right, jokes aside, let's jump in. So with regional entries out, one of the big surprises comes in the 1500. Brandon Kidder and Clayton Murphy are two of the favorites in the half mile, as Murphy is the defending champion for them indoors, but both opted for the 1500. So with this in mind, are these guys threats to compete with the likes of Isaac Yorks and Henry Wynn? And which one of the two will finish better? Caleb, let's start with you.
Kidder's absolutely a threat. I don't think Murphy is. I'll run through this. Kidder, let's not forget, ran 3:38 last year, 2 seasons ago. He's absolutely legit at this distance. He's run 3:40 this year. He's got one of the top times in the East region, which is loaded in the 15. The only two guys in front of him are Henry Wynn and Craig Engels. But he's absolutely capable of running them if you look at his PR. So he's shown the ability, and then you've got a deadly speed. His 3:40 out at Stanford this year, he closed the last 300 unbelievably fast. So he's got the strength and the speed to run with those guys. I think he's definitely a threat. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him win it all in a few weeks here. Murphy, on the other hand, Murphy's got good speed, but he hasn't shown me the strength yet. His 1500 is only like 3:44. While he did run 3:57 indoors, that was a race that he got that time mostly based on his last 400. His last 300 at about 50 or 41.5. So he was running, 259 through 1200's quick, but Yorks is going to take it out in 256, 257. It's going to be hauling. Murphy hasn't shown the strength to be able to hang with that. I think he's got a good kick. He'll place well, but he's not going to win, and he's no threat to winner Yorks.
All right, Sean, what about you? Do you think that Kidder and Murphy can keep up with a guy like Isaac Yorks, who's run 3:37?
I watched Brandon Kidder run 2 amazing legs at Penn Relays. Pretty much no one had a shot if he's starting at the same spot. And that's what happens in the 1500, 800. He's probably my favorite regardless of what race he runs. Isaac Yorks absolutely killed it against Cheserek in the DMR, still couldn't win. I'm afraid that he's going to sit back and not try to push the pace like he did there. I don't know how you bet against Kidder in the last 400. He's got better 800 speed than either of them. Kidder's my choice.
All right, Garrett, we saw Murphy beat Kidder inside of the 800. Do you have any love for him?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Caleb, are you insane, man? Clayton Murphy, not a contender. Here's a fun fact for the audience, okay? Clayton Murphy, the last time he did not win a mile or 1500 was May of 2014. He has won every mile and 1500 since then. How is that not a declaration of speed? He is absolutely 100% a contender to take down win in Engels, and I still think Kidder is too. We've seen him run 340. We've seen him run some great speedy times. He has a PR 338, but Clayton Murphy just ran 357 of a mile during indoors, and now is coming back to a more open field that could be more tactical. He has the strength. He runs rounds well. Caleb Gatchell, you're killing me, man. Both contenders. Will they actually pull it off? We'll see.
All right, fun fact, Declaration of Speed is actually the name of the Really Trained Fighters upcoming mixtape, so I'm glad Garrett got to mention that. Moving on, though, so we've seen a lot of really, really incredible performances from freshmen this year, and the latest one comes from Matthew Maton, who ran 3:39 to finish only second to Isaac Yorks at Pac-12s. So between him, we've seen Fisher go to the 5K, he ran 13:39, as Evan correctly predicted. He continued with the 5K. We see Donovan Brazier making strides in the 800 again, and of course, all those guys from indoor. So my question for you, Sean, is which freshman will have the highest finish, or the best finish, at Nationals?
So I wish that like last week I had somebody way out there, not Maton or Fisher, but those two are clearly the head of this this freshman class, especially in the 15 up. I'm going to pick Maton pretty much only because he doesn't have to race Cheserek. We saw what Blake Haney did last year as a freshman in the 15. Besides Cheserek, that hasn't been done in any other distance race, really. At least not from an American. Well, debate whether Cheserek is one or will be one for Olympic trials or not. But we saw what freshmen can do in the 15. He showed what he could do last year, breaking 4 as a high schooler. Fisher did too, but Cheserek and all those guys at 5K, McGordy, his teammate, Maton might be the best 1500er for Oregon, and that's saying something. So I think he has the best shot.
All right, so Garrett, maybe Fisher has a tough field, but we just saw Kidder and Murphy lead the 800. Do you have an 800 runner, or what about the guy from Oregon?
Well, actually, it is pretty clear that Maton and Fisher are talented, but they face some very heavy fields. I'm not going with Maton or Fisher or even Brazier. I'm going with a guy named Robert Heppenstall of Wake Forest. The guy has been killing it. He just won 2 huge meets, the Virginia Challenge and at ACC's. Got 2 big wins there. He's run under 148 3 times this season. And here's a fun fact. He actually has NCAA championship experience in an individual event, unlike Maton and unlike Fisher. So we've seen him run well. We've seen he's proven, and he has the time to back it up this season. I like Robert Heppenstall of Wake Forest.
All right, Caleb. Yes, Heppenstall had the best finish, but he certainly doesn't have the fastest times. Who are you going with?
I'm also going to go with an 800 runner, but not Heppenstall. I'm going to take Jonah Koech. I think it's going to be an 800 runner because, like Garrett mentioned, the 15 and the 5K are just too loaded. There's so much talent in there. The experience is going to win out. The freshmen aren't going to be able to handle those fields. Now, in the 800, I know we've got 2 absolute studs at the front, but with Murphy and Kidder out, it's not as deep of a field. I think we could see a freshman in 3rd. I think that freshman's Jonah Koech because he's been the most consistent. Heppenstall worries me. I watched the ACC meet. He's a talent, no doubt, but he doesn't know what he's doing racing yet. I think he got a little lucky indoors making it to the final. The way he ran at ACCs was not smart. More talented, smarter racers are going to take him down at NCAAs. He's not going to make the final. Jonah Koech will. Jonah Koech is going to finish 3rd.
All right. Another thing just worth noting, which I think is interesting, is we saw Will London, Kaimari Montgomery, and Isaac Brown all take home conference titles in the 400. What do those 3 guys have in common? They're all freshmen. It's just an incredible class we have this year. But moving on, another big surprise from conference regional entries with Tommy Awad. A lot of us thought he would go 15, and then he ran 3:37. And we were all sure he would run the 15, and he opted for the 5K. So, Sean, will you buy or sell that Tom Tommy AWOD will stay than he could in the 15.
So I have to trust him here. I'm going to buy. I know I just said that Maton had a better shot because the 15 was an easier win, but I think for Tommy, the 5K is a lot easier. Put Tommy up in the last lap against Murphy, Wynn, Kidder, and Yorks. I'm not sure he's going to be top 5, where I think Maton has a shot there. At the 5K, we've seen Tommy run really fast times and kick down the field after they've had to go the extra distance. I also think he is pretty disappointed with last year's finishes at USA in the 5K and at NCAA, so I think he needs this and he believes he can really do well here. So I'm going to buy.
All right, Caleb, what about you? Did the Penn Quaker make the right decision?
And now I'm going to sell. I think he'll do well in that 5K field, but I could see him third in the 1500. 3:37 is a heck of a time, and the way I think it's going to go out, it's fast enough to run the legs off the pure speed guys, and then at WOD's strong enough to have a great kick off a fast pace. I thought the 1500 was going to suit him perfectly. 5K, on the other hand, I'm just not sure. You got McGordy, Cheserek, some of those guys up front, Pierce Murphy. Awad's a great runner. I'm just not sure he's in their class when it comes to the 5K. I can't see him top 3 in that event, and I see him third in the 15 if he'd run that. So I'm going to sell.
All right, Garrett, it's a great field, but AWOD has great closing speed. Did he make the right choice?
I'm actually going to say yes. Now, originally I had said that he was going to do the 5K, and I was convinced he would. And now, you know, the only reason I can see why he would do the 5K is because of a weird theory and scenario that Sean kind of touched on, and it's this idea that Cheserek is not 100%. He's not at his best. You know, we've seen him vulnerable to a kick. Maybe people believe that they can actually run well in a tactical race against Cheserek this year, and thus you have Thomas Awad with a great kick. We've seen him put down that kick. We've seen him, you know, closing races fast. And of course, now he's a 3:37 PR. The 5K could show tactically some, you know, openings for him, and there could be an opportunity where he gets the win. So from a tactical standpoint, yeah, maybe, but from just an overload of talent, I wouldn't have been the first one to say that's a good decision. But long story short, I'm going to buy. I'm going to say tactical race suits him better. So yeah.
All right, we all love that AWOD closing speed, but let's move on. So speaking of speed, the Ole Miss Rebels have 4 of the top 10 seeds in the 1500 in the East. They have Robert Dominic, they have Craig Angles, they have Trevor Gilly, and they have Sean Tobin. Caleb, you're our resident 1500 expert. Are you buying or selling that all 4 of these in the top 10 from Ole Miss?
I'm going to sell on that too, actually. Ole Miss put a ton of guys in the final at SECs, and then only like 3 of them had an okay day. Angles had a good day, get the win. But someone has an off day. Trevor Gilly's going to be that guy, I think. He has a good 3:41. That's a heck of a time. You know, not taking anything away, but he's been horribly inconsistent. SECs, he got dropped by the field when they took off. Finished like 9th, I think. And other than that 3:41, I think his best other time this year is like 3:46 or something. I don't think it's going to stack up. I think he has a rough regionals. I think Ole Miss only sends 3. Just still a heck of a squad.
Only 3. It's not often you hear that. All right, Garrett, do you think they can, you know, come together as a really solid, you know, group of 4 like we have tonight and all go through the nationals?
Well, unfortunately, only one of our 4 is going to nationals, so I know that's not a good sign right off the bat. But anyways, I think Craig Angles is a gimme. I think he's obviously to go in. Last year, I believe it was Trevor Gilly who got in. Yeah, it was Gilly. Gilly did get in last year, and I like that experience. I think he's been pretty consistent. You know, he's shown that he can run well. I like him getting in. What I don't like is that of Domanic and Tobin. Tobin doesn't always seem to have quite the closing speed. I'm a little concerned about that. Domanic isn't, maybe as consistent as some others. So I'm going to probably have to go with Engels and Gilly, just because Engels way too quick, can do pretty much any race he wants, and then Gilly has been there before. He has the experience. So I'm taking those two.
All right, Sean, do you have faith in the foursome from Ole Miss?
Not at all. Not at all. We watched that SEC race again, and they choked. It was a 10-person final. They had 6 of them. And I'm pretty sure only 3 of them scored. That's really, really bad, and possibly the worst Big 5 conference in the 1500. There was no McBride. It was all of the Mississippi guys. In addition, regional qualifying is 2 rounds, 5 from each heat, plus 4 fastest times, and then 5 plus 2. Of the 6 Mississippi guys who are entered, 4 of them are in the same heat in the first round, meaning someone probably won't even make it out of the first round of regionals. Then you have a second round of it. There's 2 or 3 max. They're just too inconsistent, and if you can't win SECs, you're not going to make it out.
All right, Sean's going to the numbers, the handy numbers. All right, let's go to our last buy or sell. So while we saw Matt Maton really step up to the plate at Pac-12s, the other 1,500 runner from Oregon that we all know and love is Blake Haney, and unfortunately, he didn't even make it out of qualifiers. So let's go to Garrett. Are you buying or selling that Haney's struggles will continue on into regionals?
I'm gonna sell. I mean, this guy is just way too good to not advance. We've seen that he's done it before. He just simply has the experience, and I'm not gonna let one race get in the way. It was like a 3:47. He's run 3:40 at Peyton Jordan, and he's raced against the best. When you're under the Oregon coaching squad, and you have the motivation of, hey, this freshman Matthew Maton is kind of like taking your spotlight, I think he's gonna have the motivation to do well. We've seen him at nationals. I'm not really looking too much into this. I think he's going to do well.
All right. What about you, Sean? Are you concerned all about the conference performance from Haney?
Not concerned at all. He's worried about regionals, nationals, and then USAs. I'm sure they put him in Pac-12s. They want to get the racing experience. It didn't work out. He was 3rd last year in the outdoor mile. He's going to make it through. His heats are looking pretty simple. He's going to make it through.
All right. What about you, Caleb? Any differing opinion down in Michigan?
No, definitely not. I'm not worried at all about Haney. This is the first time in his career he's ever missed a final. I think it was a total fluke. I wasn't able to watch the race. If I had to guess, he got caught in a bad spot on a kick. And if anything, it's a learning lesson and a wake-up call, and all the more reason for the West region to be scared of him. I don't think there's any way he makes the same mistake twice. He's getting through to finals. No questions asked.
All right. All hail Eugene. Let's move on to quick take. 2 of the most impressive performances from conferences, I think, came from Mason Furlick, who's having an incredible outdoor season. He won the steeplechase in the 5K, and then Tommy Curtin at ACC's pulled off the 5K, 10K double. Sean, which one was more impressive to you?
We're going to go with Curtin. I think Furlick's time's more impressive, especially just breaking to, the field didn't have a shot in those races, but Curtin had the better wins. Think about putting Justin Knight lost the 5K and the 10K against Curtin. That's tough to do. You have to beat Sean Thompson, pretty much the leader in the 10K for a while. That's really tough to do. Curtin better race. I know Garrett's going to agree with me. Pretty simple here.
All right, Caleb, what about you? Furlick or Curtin?
I'm going with Curtin as well. I think, first off, look at the 5K times. Curtin was faster by about 12 seconds. closed in 55-0 and took down one of the best kickers in the NCAA, Justin Knight. That, like Sean said, not easy to do. And then the 10K, same thing, racing a much more talented field. Furlick cruised away from two fields at the Big Ten that honestly were very unimpressive. Other than Matt McClintock in the 5K, there was no one in either of those races that's even a threat to make nationals in any event or make it out of regionals. I mean, Furlick was having fun. Curtin had to beat some legit guys and did so very impressively. His last 400, both of those races, 55-0 and 55-2. That's insane. Coming back, by far more impressive.
All right, let's hope there's no Big Ten athletes watching tonight. So Garrett, steeplechase is incredibly difficult. Marine.
Sorry, hold on a second. You just broke up there. There we go. Yeah, so despite the steeplechase being a very difficult event, despite Mason Furlick being very talented, it's Thomas Curtin. Like there's definitely no doubt. Just by far the tougher field. Justin Knight. Not only did he beat Justin Knight, but he beat Louis Fargas twice. He had to beat Sean Thompson and Edwin Kabichi and Colin Benny, who was also super underrated. And like Caleb said, closing in 55 pretty much both times. This is someone who is known for going out hard. Now all of a sudden he's developed a kick. That's definitely much more impressive. Shows me that he's ready to go. It also explains, hey, maybe he's focusing on a much more tactical 5K, which is why he's only doing the 5K at regional. So definitely more impressive for me. Did what they had to do, and hey, VTech ACC championship.
Yeah, I hate to bust everyone's bubble, but I do not think Justin Knight was in that 5K. So.
No, he was in the 10K.
He was in the 10K, not the 5K.
Did I say 5K?
No, the two before you did. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go back to these freshmen. I hate to...
Hey, Fox, I think you kind of cut out real quick. Nah.
And we have connection issues.
This is where we pause like a buzzing screen,
Oh no.
Oh no.
Our honored and esteemed host is gone. Whatever shall we do?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. We're going to be trying our best here to fix this. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. We're currently being told that we're going to be taking over. All right. Well, Fox just sent us the next question, and it looks like, how many freshmen make it out of the 800 in the West region? And yeah, so let's go with that. You know what? We'll go with Caleb here. I'm just going to take over. Caleb, start us off. How many freshmen are going to get out of the West region?
I've got 4.
In the 800.
Right. I've got 4. I'm going to take Brazier, Jonah Koech, Carlton Orange, and Brian Bell from Houston. I think these 4, they've all run incredible times. I believe all 4 of them are under 147 outdoors, and they've been consistent doing it too. That's the biggest thing. I worry about inconsistent freshmen in the rounds, but these 4 have been rock solid all year. Jonah Koech, forgot to mention earlier, he was right on Iliad Rudo's heels in the 800 at their conference meet, beat him in the 1500, so he's looking great right now. Brazier, obviously, great meet at SEC's. Orange had a little bit of a rough day, but was in the mix there. I still like him to get through regionals. And then Brian Bell from Houston. Everybody remembers him from New Balance Indoor Nationals last year with a heck of a split on the sprint medley relay, and then comes back to get the individual 800 title out of nowhere. So I think he continues his role. He's in his territory now outdoors. He's going to get through as well.
All right. Hey, Fox, are you good? Do you want to take? Yeah, it's either gonna be Sean or I next. You decide. He still can't talk. Excellent. Okay, so Sean, we'll go to you.
So I'm pretty much picking the same 4. I'm really on the fence about Bell. He's ran 147.58. which I think puts him right on the 12-13 kind of area, but just based on seed times. Orange, Koech, and Brazier have been absolutely amazing, both indoors and outdoors. I think they're surely getting in. Bell's borderline. I liked what he did at New Balance Indoor Nationals last year. I think he's going to come through for the last spot.
All right. Hey, Fox, try one more time.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Alex Fox,
All right, it
ladies
was
and
the
gentlemen, he's
headphones.
back.
That's great. Caleb, you answered the question. I'm sorry, Garrett, have you answered the question?
No, I have not. I'm actually just about to go in here and show these
All
punks
right,
who's
go for
boss. Yeah, so anyways, so I actually kind of agree with both of them here. I really like Diamond Brazier. I really like Jonah Koech, and I think Carlton Orange. I think those guys are all going to be set to get in. The only one I'm a little tricky about is Brian Bell. He ran 147 earlier this season, and he ran it twice actually, and then he came back with 149 and 148 at SECs, I believe. Or I'm sorry, no, he's not. That's Houston. American. That's what it is. Apologize. American conference. So, I mean, obviously very talented, but he doesn't have the experience at the big level like all three of those guys actually do. We've seen those guys race well. I'm pretty sure they all made it to the final. I think Carlton Orange got in on a technical problem with indoor championships last season. So, these are all guys who have run super well and consistent. Brian Bell, not 100% sure, so I'm only taking Brazier, Koech, and Carlton Orange.
All right, let's try to get back in the flow of things now. I'm sorry about that, boys. So let's go to our last quick take question, and this is something that Caleb suggested to me, so we're going to start with him. Obviously, the East and the West both have their own distinct strengths, but which one is better, Caleb?
All right. Before I give you a complete answer, let's just take a look at what we've got. 800 in the East. You've got Brandon McBride, Ilya Rudo, Andres Arroyo up front. I think that's a better event than in the West. 1500, same thing. You're front-loaded Henry Wynn, Craig Engels, Brandon Kidder, James Randon. That's a heck of a top four. West is good with Yorks and Maton and those guys, but not quite as deep. But then we get to the 5K, and the West 5K is unbelievably stacked. I mean, you've got Chesrick coming back, looked healthy at Pac-10s. I think they just scratched him from the 5K to be safe, make sure he's ready to roll. I think he's healthy and going to be crazy fast. You've got Morgan McDonald, Sean McGorty, Colby Gilbert, Pat Corona, Linus Selassie's in there. It's absolutely loaded. In the steeplechase out west, you have 10 guys under 841, super tight, super deep. So I think I have to go with the West, based mostly on those two events. And then the 10K out there is pretty solid as well. I mean, Butson ran sub 28. I guess that's an okay time. I love the West region. I think it's deeper in most events in the East. East has some of the studs, some of the faster times, but the West region's just so deep. Can't argue with that.
All right, Garrett, what about you? You got some love for the East Coast?
Wow, Caleb, we were really not on the same page here at all tonight, dude. It's just been rough all around tonight. I mean, how can he all of a sudden just skipped over the steeplechase. You've had Mason Furlick, Zach Sinon, and Edwin Kambichi, Marin Simon, all those guys under 840. Mason Furlick is by far the best steeplechaser in the East region. And then you're like, okay, so we're just going to skip over Henry Wynn, Craig Engels, probably the two guys I see winning it. We just said Brandon Kidder is a contender to beat them. Yes, you have Isaiah Kyorks. He's really good, but, can anyone beat them? Looking over, Brandon McBride, by far going to be the most dominant and has been the most dominant 800 runner this season. Into the 5K, I mean, okay, yes, the 5K of the West is typically very good, but Patrick Tiernan, Justin Knight, Thomas Curtin, now Thomas Awad hops in, Graham Crawford, Willie Fink, and all these guys, that have consistently shown day after day and race after race that, they can run super well. I mean, maybe the 10K is really the only area where I don't see the East having, a chance to compete. So I gotta say it's definitely the East region. The 5K and the little bit of the upper distances are good at the West, but with that 5K field, that 5K field in the East is also very, very good. So yeah.
All right, Sean, you're actually an athlete in the East region. What do you think?
I think the East has the better studs this year. I think there's one or two guys in every event in the East that have a better shot at winning titles at NCAAs than the guys in the West do. But there's one heat in the West that I think shows why it's the better region. First heat of the 5K, top 5 automatically go, best 2 times. First heat, probably not going to run fast. So somebody out of this group is going to miss NCAAs. Patrick Corona, Sean McGorty, Grant Fisher, Mark Scott, Jake Langang, Morgan Pearson, Edward Cheserek. That's 7 guys, 5 of them automatically qualify. 2 of those guys are probably going to miss. That's pretty deep. I don't know how you look at that field and say that that's any worse than the East. So they're the better region.
All right, that's a scary heat. I would not want to be in it. All right, let's go to our last question. It's your last chance to impress me, and I want you all to give me your sleeper pick to make nationals. Nobody's talking about them except for you. Garrett, go.
So this one, I can't explain it. There's really nothing that really pops off the page when you look at this guy. But I'm going to just have to go out here, and yes, Sean, congratulations. I'm going with Chris Hattler of Penn. The dude has just been I just see him race sometimes, and I know that's a terrible thing. Oh, I just see him race sometimes. But, he won the Chester Quarry Classic in the 1500 with a 3:43. We've seen him steadily improve over the indoor season. He's gotten wins there. He's run great legs in the DMR and the 4x8 and the 4x-mile. I know it's kind of a pretty bold move without too much substance behind it, but I like Chris Hattler. I think he's going to really surprise everyone. Trains with Tommy Awad, knows how to race tactically, and yeah, that's it.
All right, Sean, what about you?
So thank you for supporting for the Quakers. I'm happy you did that. I'm going to go out west, take a PA alum, Tom Coyle. We have been waiting for him to step onto the national stage for so long. It's his time. He is going to come out of nowhere, and I think he'll be a top half qualifier into nationals, so he'll be top 6 in the West region this week. Come on, PA. We got to start sending people to nationals. I think he's our best shot. Kunzweiler from the East, too. I think he's got a shot at a Duke, but those are my 2.
All right, Caleb, last chance to defend your crown. Who you got?
I've got a steeplechaser. Chase Coffey from Bradley. Run 850 this year. Is out in the West region. That's not one of your top times, but he's been consistently improving. He's a senior, last chance to make it. He's shown some pretty decent foot speed, 348.0 in the 15. That's solid for a steeplechase guy. I think he's going to get it done. Just a gut feeling. I watched the MVC championships on ESPN last week. He looked really smooth, really good in a few different events. I like him a lot, and I think he's my sleeper pick to get to nationals out of that region.
Sleeper pick indeed. That's a deep one, but unfortunately for Caleb, this is the end of your reign. I'm going to give the win to Garrett. He was the only one that didn't say that Justin Knight was in that 5K. So, Garrett, what do you have to say for yourself?
Wow. Well, I just got to say, Chris Hattler, don't you dare let me down. No, I mean, as great as has been with Caleb here, I wish there was a runner I could rant on. I really don't really have anything else. I could go back to Arroyo, but there's not really anything I want to talk about. I'm pretty boring. Wow, this is sad. Okay, yeah, that's all I got, guys. Sorry.
He's working a side office job, and he has nothing to say for himself. So that's going to be all for us tonight. On Wednesday, we will be doing a show that's covering PA State. We do have a special surprise for you. in the coming days, we should see a post from Garrett. We're going to do a prediction contest for NCAA qualifiers. If you want to jump in on that, we'd be happy to see you, our viewers, engage with the blog. We really love the support you've been giving us with this show, and the fan suggestions that have been coming in have been great. So thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.